They can bury the truth, but they can't kill the soul. Cut through the noise, get back to what matters. Truth roll across the land. We've been bent, we've been bruised, still we stand with nothing to lose. It ain't easy, the road is long and hard. We stand for our freedom right here in our own backyard. Yes, Patriot Mike, standing tall and free. Patriot Mike, for you and for me. Strap in. You're live with the Patriot Mike Show.
Good morning, Patriots. How are you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of LaMonte, Missouri. Hope you guys are having a great day wherever it is you are at. It's hot, but it's August. I'm not surprised by it. I'm not surprised by it all. But, you know, the global warmists have determined that there may be some truth to the big ball of fire in the sky being related to the temperatures, but they need to, like the WNBA, do more study to come to a consensus on that issue. Anyways, this is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I say that because I mean that, because it is the day that the Lord has made. Every day is the day that the Lord, Paul said it, to live is Christ, to die is gain. It's just one more day. It's just one more day. I see that I've still got the PatriotMikeShowSavings at gmail.com up on the screen, and that's good. That's good because this segment of the Patriot Mike Show is brought to you by Agape Solutions Group. Well, they'll help you save a bunch of money if you're in business for yourself, especially if you have employees. They deal in the benefit package part of the business. Your second most expensive outgo. If you can save 1%, 10%. I mean, just on those, just think about it. Just think about how much money that could be back in your pocket. You can grow your business. Maybe you can hire a couple more employees. You go on vacation, pay off some debt on that savings. So go to PatriotMikeShowSavings at gmail.com. PatriotMikeShowSavings gmail.com. PatriotMikeShowSavings gmail.com. Since it's up, I might as well talk about it. And go save yourself a few bucks. I mean, seriously, if you haven't already sent an email to PatriotMikeShowGmail.com and say, what's this all about? It costs you nothing. You're just out of your mind. I don't know what else to tell you. Anyways, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it because God is absolutely good, no matter what. If I can find the right button to push here. And the word of the day is given by the Lord, presented by Marina in the Woods, is Romans 10, 1 through 10. That's Romans 10, 1 through 10. In fact, I recommend over the weekend that you read probably Romans 7, 8, 9, and 10. If you're worried about by the way, they cherry pick 2 or 3 verses out of there, the anti-Jew people. If you're worried about that, go read that. And then make sure you read it, all of it. because you might see that it says some things in there that puts to rest whether or not God has chose Israel and they are still chosen, and what our relationship as Christians are to the Jews. We'll see. We will see. You should read it, though. Anyways, all kinds of news going on. It's Friday, which means I'm broadcasting on all the channels everywhere. So if you're watching me on the other channels, know this, that I go live Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you like my content and stuff, go over to Rumble and follow me. Go over to X and follow me. Go everywhere else and follow me, because YouTube sucks and Facebook sucks. Marine just put in a chat group there. It says Romans 10:1, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. It should be your heart's desire and prayer to God for everyone. But since Paul was a Jew and a Roman and a biblical scholar, meaning Old Testament. Anyways. So let's get started with the show today. Lots of stuff in the news. As you know, on December 31st, 2025, I posted a post on Facebook that said a few things. And one of them was that AOC would run for president. I didn't say she'd win. I said she'd run. And she would win enough primaries that she should be the nominee, but I don't know that she'll get the nominee because the Democrats cheat. I don't know if you noticed. Anyways, AOC, Babylon B, bringing tomorrow's news today. Andrea Cortez appears on Sesame Street to debate economic plan with the Count. New York. Star Democratic political candidate Andrea Ocasio-Cortez finally accepted a challenge to debate her economic plan with Count Von Count, esteemed number expert from Sesame Street, on a special guest appearance that aired Friday. The congressional candidate got into a heated exchange with the legendary counting expert, fumbling her words as she calmly tallied up the trillions of dollars she hasn't accounted for in her proposals. The numbers of the day is $30 trillion. The Count began in his opening statement as a number 30, puppet followed by a bunch of zeros started dancing behind him. What is your plan vending this kind of money? Like, it has electrolytes. Like, we pay for other things and just invent money and stuff to pay for national security and stuff. So we can't. So why can't we invent trillions of making jobs in healthcare and education? She responded. But the Count was ready with a helpful chart that pointed out the existing programs she referred to didn't total anywhere near the cost of her proposals. One failed political economic worldview. The Count said, dealing a fatal blow to Ocasio-Cortez stormed off the set, or as she did. At publishing time, she had tweeted that the Count's offer to debate was akin to catcalling and that Sesame Street producers should have labeled the segment as satirical. 1 trillion, 2 trillion, but it's real easy because it was the Squad a couple years ago. They said all we got to do is print some $1 trillion coins. Just put a coin $1 trillion. And then Marine just posted his 39,681 39 trillion 680. I can't think of numbers that big. 681 billion 258,617,000. That's the debt right now. So all you need is $40 trillion coins. You can play off the debt just like that. Just ching. There you go. Debt paid for. Of course, all the people whining and complaining that the economy sucks and the prices are too expensive. I don't have my Zimbabwe money right here in front of me. I think it's in the safe, to keep it safe. But that's what it'll be. I mean, you go to Starbucks, that'll be $11 trillion. You think inflation's bad now. Just wait and see. You just don't know. You don't know. I'm telling you, you don't know. I know people don't want to hear it, but it's true. It's true. It's true. Ooh. Anyways.
He's got Thanksgiving problem. 2019.
Yes, well. All right, let's see here. Let's first slow that down. And let's go to the next. We got AOC in the news. She's out doing her thing. She's on the circuit making the interviews and she's putting herself out there. She's not saying she's a candidate yet. However, a Poly Market has come out and said, breaking, AOC may overtakes Marco Rubio in 2028 presidential odds for the first time this year, moving into second place. 13% chance AOC wins the White House. Now, let me just point something out to you. Odd markets aren't based on reality. You see, if the Kansas City Chiefs were playing the New York Jets, I think we could all agree, based upon history, the Chiefs would probably win that game, right? We could all agree on that. So everybody be betting on the Chiefs. So what do? They create a greater odds, a more potential of winning a large sum of money for the Jets. And they lower the odds so if you put $100 on the Chiefs, you win $5. You get your 100 back in $5. You put $100 on the Jets, be 30-1. Well, you get 30 $100 bills back, including your $100 bill. That's so the market is not based upon the odds market is not based upon anything that matters other than how much money people are betting. And so if they're not getting people to bet the other way so that they can lose, so that they can make the money, then they'll change the odds. So right now, they're saying that AOC has got good odds that she's going to win, meaning they're lowering the amount of money that you can make if you bet on her. That's all it means. It means people are taking that bet. And the more people that take that bet, the more they'll lower the price.
When she came out of nowhere in 20.
Here is Laura Ingraham on AOC.
When she came out of nowhere in 2018 to unseat the number 4 Democrat in the House, then 28-year-old Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became an instant celeb. And she was the source of not just fascination, but speculation. She didn't have the academic pedigree of Obama, but she had his audacity.
You're talking about ICE should be abolished. Yeah. You want government jobs, guaranteed government jobs. What do you say to people who say that this is just too much?
Well, I think what we've seen is that working class Americans want a clear champion, and there is nothing radical about moral clarity.
Former bartender who burst onto the scene to shake up her party and motivate her generation to activism. AOC started her own squad, which consisted of like-minded radicals. And for the past several years, she's alternated between playing kind of boss lady in House hearings to showcasing softer vibes on TikTok. But something changed this year The 36-year-old socialist began to take the reins from her mentor, Bernie Sanders, in the endorsement game, and with some real success.
Dr. Abdullah Sayed and I may come from different places, but we're forged from the same fight.
For money out of politics, money in your pocket, and Medicare
For all.
She helped lift El Sayed to victory in his Michigan Senate primary, and before that had endorsed Zohran Mamdani in his successful New York mayoral bid. And as for a DSA type, she has shown skillful political judgment in knowing what races not to dive into. In that Wisconsin governor's race, AOC steered clear of Francesca Hong. And unlike some other Democrats, she never endorsed Plattner in Maine.
The Democrats abandoned Graham Plattner after these messages came out, these sexually explicit messages they sent to women.
You know, I haven't waded into that primary. I don't believe the primary has occurred yet. I haven't waded in that race.
2 embarrassing losses avoided, the brand of AOC preserved. Now, what's been clear for the past few weeks is that Ocasio-Cortez is seriously considering running for president. The clearest indication was her attempt to woke wash what happened in the summer of 2020.
I have a local city councilman that has this saying woke one was crazy. During this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. The doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place. During lockdown, of course, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today.
The movements to defund the police, then abolish police, the race riots, the looting, the ripping down of statues and monuments, the rank feeling of anti-Americanism that comes from all of that. Look, it's not popular, and she knows it. And today in the Washington Post, Henry Olsen writes what we've been saying since almost 2019, that she is the thought leader of the party, and she should not miss her moment to run for president. I think that's right. So why wait? Who's more interesting out there right now? Who has a stronger connection to the energy that is inside her party right now? The answer is no one. But that doesn't mean AOC wouldn't have a fight for the nomination. First, she'd have to get through Kamala, who today seemed to be making the case for AOC.
There is almost a rebellion against status quo because it has not been working for a lot of people for a long time.
Oops. And of course, there are a slew of others. Failed California Governor Gavin Newsom's obviously running, and he has a lot of Silicon Valley big donors on speed dial.
After the 2026 midterms, you're going to give it serious thought.
Yeah, I'd be lying otherwise. I'd just be lying, and I can't do that.
Just lying.
Others include people like former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who seems to be doing his own brand tweaking, addressing the Biden record on the border, clearly more comfortable himself in the establishment lane.
I'm so angry at my party, not only losing control of the border, but in the 2020 debate, raising your hand and saying, I'm going to give health care to people that cross illegally. Forget the immigration policy. You have American families suffocating under healthcare costs, and you're talking about free healthcare to having crossed the border illegally? At every level, that was foolish by the party.
But as his party has tilted to the left, is that going to work? In 2026, he seems more like 1996. The strongest threat to Ocasio-Cortez in her nomination may come from the South. The buzz about Georgia Senator John Ossoff is off the charts. And my favorite fangirl piece about him is from New York Times columnist Michelle Goldberg. She wrote, if you were cooking up an ideal 2028 candidate in the lab, he would look a lot like Ossoff. He's young and handsome with a picture-perfect family. He's a Southerner from a reddish state with a history of wooing black voters. And he's a Jewish critic of Israel who has the potential to bridge the Democratic Party's agonizing divide over Zionism. But Ossoff will have likely just one re-election, remember, and he may decide to wait.
No, I have zero interest in running for president in 2028.
What do you make of the attention you're getting about the prospect of a 2028 run?
My purpose is not to gain attention. My purpose is to do my job and do it well.
AOC was asked the same question. Her answer wasn't quite so definitive.
Are you going to run for president?
I mean, I'm focused on winning the midterms. I'm running for Congress right now.
But I mean, do you see this as something? I mean, I know you said you're open to it. Is it a realistic possibility?
I haven't ruled out the possibility.
Ah, there it is. And the laugh, always the laugh. And now looky here, for what it's worth, and it's not worth much, AOC suddenly leaps to the top of the prediction site Polymarket. She's leading Newsom and the others, albeit narrowly, 19 to 17. Gavin has 17, 16 for Ossoff, 7 for poor old Kamala. So these next 6 months will be crucial for AOC. What happens in the midterms with El Sayed in Michigan, what happens in New York under Mamdani, will all be taken into account by the voters, who in her party want, above all, a winner who will undo 4 more years of Donald Trump. The key question is going to be, how does she do on that debate stage? We know her progressive bona fides are not in doubt, but she's using her, her story in an interesting way too. Her personal reproductive story to relate to women of a certain age and stage in life, that may have some appeal. But if she's actually pressed on substantive issues involving economic policy, foreign policy, it's a total mess. Here's what she thinks about U.S. troops defending Taiwan.
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States.
She'd have to do a lot of homework to reassure voters that she can run the federal government despite never having run anything. And then she'd have to face someone like Vance or Rubio. And wouldn't that be fun?
Now, that was a 7-minute long, and I wanted to play the whole 7 minutes to make this point. Fox News Corporation hates Trump. That was a 7-minute hit piece, or should I say love tap of AOC. Yeah, Ingram went after her a little bit, but the idea is press is press, whether it's good or bad. That 99% of this, when it comes around, especially in the primaries, is name recognition. And so Fox is doing, and mind you, you're going to see this everywhere else. You're going to start seeing this everywhere else. AOC, 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 AOC. One of the things I think they want to do is get people like Gavin Newsom, who will do horribly. They can't rebrand him enough, out of the equation. That's one of the things that they want to do, and some others. Rahm Emanuel will be the elitist Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama candidate. So this is the just think of the prophetic word. They will do everything possible to put a witch into the White House. It may end up being AOC versus another woman. Hillary won't run. She's too old. Kamala, who knows who else comes up out of there. We'll see. But there's a little bit more to talk about when it comes to AOC as she's trying to elevate her footprint. And first, let me do this. All right. So on the UFOs, the UFOs are releasing all the UFO information. Mysterious jellyfish spotted in NASA Mars photos sparks theories of life on the red planet. So they're saying that this jellyfish drone looking thing, and I looked at it and I said, I've seen that before. I know exactly what that is. It's an Imperial scout drone. Look. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're looking for the rebel base. It's a oh yes, anyways, gotta have fun with it, right? If you're a fan of sci-fi, you know. Got the Imperial scout drone up there looking for the rebels on Mars, because where else would they be? So here's a comment about her hitting higher than Rubio on the poly market. It says breaking AOC now odds favorite to be the 2028 Democrat nominee. Long ways to go for 2028. Says AOC is the best the Democrats have. I'm so looking forward to the foreign affairs debate. But they're going to keep plugging away. You know, everything is fake. You just remember that. Except for the Patriot Mike Show. I'm not fake. Or something. Everything is fake. Everything you see and hear, whether it's from social media or regular media, it doesn't matter. It's bought and paid. It's all created to get you to think a certain way, to get you to accept the idea, for example, that AOC would be a good candidate. Another example of it is Political asking Adam Shifty Ship, who's on vacation out in California because he really lives in Baltimore. Here's what he says.
I do think Democrats have some hurdles. I want to ask you about these comments that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made when she was asked about some of the far left rhetoric that dominated the party around 2019 and 2020. You know, she kind of laughed it off and said that was, quote, woke 1.0 was crazy, she said. The debate is obviously a major tension within the party of how to sort of reckon with those years. What do you make of the woke one was crazy comments?
I'm not sure that I understand the context of it. I will say this about AOC, who I consider a friend. I think she's hugely talented.
I think she's hugely talented, and I love her so much, and I think she should run for president. Hey, AOC. Remember, Hillary promised me a spot like Secretary of State or something. I think you should run. I'll be glad to help you on the campaign trail. I'll even impeach the president again if you'll give me a spot. That's what he's doing. See, because if he can get Secretary of State or something like that, so he's been a congressman, he's been a senator, one day he might even be a president. Could you imagine President Adam Shifty Shift, the pencil neck geek? I'm looking for the guy supplying the dimes. That's what I'm talking about. They say them geeks are dime a dozen. Yeah, that's just what we need. That'll work out fine. It's okay. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here, folks. It's perfectly fine. I got one more AOC, I think. Because, well, why not? Oh, here it is. Like I said, they're pushing AOC on the left and on the right because this right now is the person they want running. This is the person they want absorbing some of that atmosphere in the room until later on when they push her out for the person they really want. Drudge Report headline. Top bet. Top bet is AOC. Everybody's AOC-ing away. Should be a song or something. Anyways. And not to be outdone, Babylon Bee, bigger than tomorrow's news today. So yesterday, the WNBA had a big powwow. They got all the ladies at the WNBA together and decided that they were going to hold a quick session to determine what the W means in the WNBA. They just can't figure it out. I mean, what is a woman? Who can decide what a woman is? Nobody knows. It's impossible to know. It is. Sad. WNBA task force fails to define woman after spending an entire meeting trying to pick restaurant for lunch. Los Angeles, California, a special WNBA task force announced on Thursday that they'd been unable to define a woman after several hours of meeting led to a stalemate on where to go to lunch. We tried to get to the topic at hand, but mostly we argued over whether we should order Panera Zupas for lunch, said WNBA Commissioner Kathy Eaglebert. After many hours of debate, we realized that there was no time left for us to figure out what a woman is. Tomorrow, I guess, if we can agree on lunch. The WNBA organized the group to help the league define and how they define women who want to play basketball. At present, the WNBA has no standard for who they allow into the league and does not have any policies in place to prevent men who want to participate. But what if they're not men? What if they identify as a woman? That's the challenge. At present, we're not sure what a woman is, so we really need to get to the bottom of this, Engelbert admitted. But between the 15 ladies on the committee, we really got ourselves tied in knots over the lunch thing. Some wanted Panda Express. Others suggested everyone bring some cheese to share. And one lady insisted we order takeout from an Indian restaurant 2 hours away. In the end, we ate some crackers we found in the closet of the meeting room and talked about girl stuff. The group promised to reconvene tomorrow, that'd be today, and had reportedly devised a system for choosing lunch, which the senior most ranking member of the committee appointed a lunch czar who would delegate her responsibility equally over a 5-person advisory board. At publishing time, the task force had reached a stalemate over where lunch should be ordered from tomorrow or today. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they'll get to figuring out who a woman is as soon as they can figure out exactly what lunch is. Oh, yes. And CNN is delving into it. They don't know. They're very upset, though. These two cisgendered women over on CNN are very upset that two black trans lesbians most of the time identify as female basketball players. They can't have it. It's not right. Someone needs to make a decision around here.
Appears to be performance, publicity stunt, whatever you want to call it. The WNBA commissioner said that player eligibility remains the same and preserving the integrity of our game and ensuring fair competition will always remain among the league's highest priorities. How likely is this move going to advance the league's discussions here? What do you think about that?
I think that the PA, the Players Association, as well as the league, will probably be a little more clear about what they mean by women playing in the WNBA. I think, unfortunately, those two retired players were looking for some attention and trying to prove a point, and they may have gotten the attention and proved the point they wanted, but they've just added to what I believe is such a disheartening time for a league that's been around for 30 years, correct? And it's still very young in terms of what a league should look like, a professional league should look like. And they have just gotten to the point where they finally have the attention that they deserve, that they've worked so hard for all of these years, and people are co-opting this message. Now, Pamela, I know you know this, but when this league started, these women, it was sweat equity. It was for the love of the game. They were making maybe $15,000 a year, and they had other side jobs. They were doing it because they loved to play basketball, because there was no professional league for women. And so now we have people changing the entire conversation, and they don't deserve this. It's really unfortunate. And the true fans, the fans who have been here from the beginning, not these flyover fans who just joined, who are causing the ruckus, are really disappointed, because there's some excellent basketball being played by these ladies, and they will continue to keep the main thing and try to quiet this narrative, oh, what is a woman playing in sports? I think we shouldn't even answer those questions. I understand Sophie felt like she had to say something, but there's no way in today's political climate that you can answer a question like that without someone else giving you some push and some shove about what you're really trying to say.
All right, I want to turn.
So I mean, they need to keep the main thing the main thing. But let me show you something. Let me just show you how bigoted they really are. How bigoted and hurtful the WNBA is. And I'm just gonna show you. I could right here in their logo. Right here in their logo. Look at that. Look at that. That logo shows a picture of a woman that's not appropriate. See the curves of her hips? That is discriminatory to people like Brittany Garner that don't have those curves. So they need to change their emblem because their emblem is sexist and bigoted because not every woman looks like that. Some women are 6'2" tall, weigh 225 pounds, and their hips are kind of straight. And they don't have any breast assistance because, you know, some women just don't have as much up top as they do on the bottom, if you know what I mean. See, it's discriminatory. The problem with CNN is they're being discriminatory. They're judging people by their looks. They're not allowing people to identify themselves as they feel on the inside. That's the problem. It's not fair and it's not right. And they need to treat everybody equally. But it's true that the WNBA did hold a meeting. It says the WNBA held a meeting Wednesday to decide its policy on transgendered athletes and apparently still couldn't determine what a woman is. The task force teams of team presidents and GMs walked away without reaching an agreement on eligibility. Because, see, the problem that they have, see, gays, black people, women, white men in dresses. Yep, right over the top of them. Here's the thing, is there's already men dressed as women playing basketball in the WNBA. And if they set a standard, then those men dressed as women in the WNBA will be outed by the standard. So they can't set a standard because they've already allowed it to happen. And therein lies the biggest problem of the WNBA. They've been boxed in. God told me that he's gonna that he's going to box them in. And as I was reading about this and praying about this and talking about it with God and reading the Bible and stuff, he said, I'm going to box them in. And it's not just them. There's several other things he ran through my mind. What's going on with the election fraud? Watch Minnesota and Michigan. God said to me this morning to keep an eye on Michigan and Minnesota. There's some stuff coming. God's boxing them in. God's boxing the DSA and the Democrats with their socialism. God's boxing the Republican Party in. Well, see, they're going to come to a point where the decision's going to have to be made. And reality is going to have to set in. You know, one of the things in the WNBA is this controversy about Sophie Cunningham and this DeJohnny Carrington's and their backgrounds. You know, she said white privilege. DeJohnny Carrington's dad was in NFL. She went to a private Christian academy and went to Stanford. Sophie Cunningham's dad got hit hard in the 2008 crisis. She went to public school in Columbia, Missouri. She went to that's a rough school, by the way, Rockridge. She went to public school and worked on a farm in Missouri. Yeah, You see, but it doesn't matter because she's white, because we're nothing but a big pile of racism. And race is the defining factor in all of this. That's the decision maker. That's the decision. That's where these people get their decisions. There's nothing else there. But they can't decide because they already know, and they know that their back's against the wall on this. If they come out and say that a man is a man and a girl is a girl, they have some serious problems. They have some serious problems with their teams because there's already dudes.
2019. Just a reminder, this Thanksgiving, this country was built on this.
Yeah. Because there's already dudes in the mix. And we all know it. I mean, they know it. We know it. Everybody knows it. But that's not the point. That's not the point. You see, like I said, if you women don't get control of things, that men are going to make better women than women. It's the competitive edge. It's the competitive edge that goes with it. That's the point. You see, when you allow a 6'2", 120 pound or 220 pound man onto the basketball court with women, there's a distinct advantage. It's kind of like somebody put a junior high school soccer team up against a semi-pro female soccer team, male soccer team, and the junior high school soccer team won. Why? Because men and women are different. Here's Fox discussing the WNBA.
Only women are eligible to play, but the league doesn't define what a woman is. And their anti-hate task force wrapped up their meeting yesterday without making a decision on that issue. A person familiar with the league indicates to Fox part of the reasoning comes down to the WNBA's refusal to bend to outside pressure, or what they call manufactured controversies. They point to Ennis Cantor-Freedom and Royce White's claims to join the WNBA draft, saying the recent declarations are plainly publicity stunts. We are not going to give oxygen to efforts designed to mock the league or use this topic to demean or marginalize others. They go on to say there are no legitimate immediate eligibility matters requiring action by the WNBA. The lack of an answer, though, is only fueling the criticism on.
Yeah, no legitimate. They can't make a decision and come out right, like I said. We're not going to let those two guys in, though. Or gals. Or whatever. They're just mocking people. Who are they mocking? They're mocking the WNBA because everybody knows there's dudes in the WNBA. Everybody knows it. You know it. I know it. The American people know it. We all know that there are dudes in the WNBA. We've seen them. We can tell. And we also there's probably women juicing in the WNBA too. Here is a Royce White response to CNN and the WNBA.
Could this culminate in you actually playing in the WNBA?
It better. Why wouldn't they let me play? It's completely bigoted to deny my trans existence.
Well, if they deny his trans existence, I thought the standard was whatever you want to be, whatever you say you are, your pronouns are your standard. But now we're saying, no. No, there's a difference between boys and girls. That's what there's. Okay. Let me get this off the screen. All right. There's a difference between boys and girls, and we have to have a standard, and we can't allow this circus act into the WNBA. Well, you created the circus act. It's your circus act. You guys did this. You did this to yourself, and you're going to reap the whirlwind. It's coming. I don't care what they say. I don't care. It's coming. Let's see. Here is House Star, the old TV series House. Remember it? I liked the show for the first couple seasons, but then it started, the formula. I knew the formula, and it kind of got boring, so I stopped watching. But, House Star says, House star Hugh Laurie makes his position crystal clear. Actor Hugh Laurie jumped into the growing WNBA debate after comedian Graham Lehan pressed him to say exactly where he stands. Laurie didn't mince words. Firstly, F off. Secondly, no, I don't believe men should compete against women. Then he added, and yes, I support Sophie Cunningham. Well, that settles that. I mean, how do you really feel? Whether he really said that or not, the first sentiment should probably be what most people say, just F off. Just stop. It's just ridiculous. I've got let's see. Okay, here we go. This is one more WNBA, and then we're off the WNBA bandwagon, so to speak. Says, per league source, the WNBA is not taking declarations by former NBA players for the 27th NBA draft seriously. Source called them attempts to sow division and chaos by bad faith actors. Nothing is imminent. League will follow its process and not let them in, basically. The point they seem to be missing is that no man's declaration to be a woman should be taken seriously. Let me read that again slower for the people in the back, No man's declaration that they are a woman should be taken seriously anywhere, all the time. That's the reality of it. But what does reality have to do to it? The song Back to Life, Back to Reality, going through my head right now. What does reality have to do with it? Nothing. Reality has nothing to do with it. So we got some other stuff we'll talk about. We're just switching gears here just a little bit. So the RFK Maha Rubio stuff is cracking me up. So here's RFK being asked about fast food and the president's food stuff. Here we go.
What do you think about that? Yes or no?
Sips hot water.
Yeah. Or is it all bad? All the fast food's bad?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. There may be some that is better than others. I don't know. I don't eat fast food anymore if I can help it, unless President Trump makes me do like what he did.
Same for a lot of the citizens of the country, brother. Trump.
So I don't eat fast food anymore unless President Trump makes me eat it. He doesn't want to call out he now holds a position he could harm business that way, and he doesn't want to call him out. So I get what he's saying there, and I understand it, and that's fine. Here he is talking about Donald Trump's diet.
When you get on his airplane, it's just boxes and boxes of McDonald's.
Wow. I thought it was a joke. It's like a
12-year-old's dream.
Yeah, could you ever whisper him to be like, hey, I'm trying to correct some things in this country. This is not helping us.
No, I mean, I don't look. I'm not like a scold.
Oh yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair.
President Trump actually eats really good food most of the time. But when he's traveling, he likes to eat food from national chains because he's scared of getting food poisoning. If he buys it from a little local place, he's scared that it'll have some contaminant in it. But when he's at Mar-a-Lago or when he's at the White House, that's the best food. It's all fresh produce. It's a lot of it is locally sourced. So he's eating good food most of the time.
Thank you, Doz, for that. I saw it run real quick by in the chat room. You all are chatty today. I appreciate that, brother. All right, so there he is talking about Donald Trump really, and Donald Trump actually eats rich people food. Well, what do you mean by that? Personal chefs and stuff. I mean, he doesn't go out like you and I. I'm looking in the freezer. Oh, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? See what I got in there. I got chicken. Got a little venison. Got a package of hot dogs. That's about it. What am I making for dinner tonight? He goes and sits down, and the chef brings out whatever it was that was prepared. They might have some discussion somewhere what's on the menu, but Donald Trump doesn't concern himself with those kind of things. And the food that's prepared for him is way, way better. But he likes his McDonald's and his Diet Coke too. And of course, he's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell the president. He's the president. I'm not going to tell him. One more thing. So that there's this debate between RFK and Rubio over the Pop-Tarts, and the memes are getting really good. The memes are getting, and here's a AI generated meme if you can't figure it out on your own, because some people are just dumb.
Maha!
It's not RFK did not throw Rubio under the bus. Rubio's wife did. She tossed him under that bus and ran him over as far as the food that they eat. Oh, it's funny. It's good times. Good times. You gotta have a sense of humor in life. Don't get too excited about things, for sure. So here is J.D. Vance and RFK and a couple of others have are basically calling out the fraud that is transgenderism, especially when it comes to the kids.
Hey, everybody. This is Vice President J.D. Vance. I'm here with my friends and colleagues, of course, our great Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Admiral Brian Christine, the Assistant Secretary for Health. Parents bring their children to doctors because they trust them. They trust doctors to tell them the truth, and they trust hospitals to put their children ahead of ideology and profit. But when that trust gets violated, parents deserve to have a government that will stand up for them and for their kids and do something about it. Today, the Trump administration is proud to announce we're doing exactly that.
Today, HHS released Wolves in White Coats, a report examining pediatric gender medicine and insurance building across America. The findings raise serious questions about what families were told, what insurers were told, and how these procedures were built.
Today, Secretary Kennedy and I referred hospitals and clinics identified by this review to the Department of Justice and the HHS Inspector General for possible violations of federal law. These allegations are crazy and they demand investigation. When children may have been harmed and families misled, it's on those of us in power to find the truth and to seek justice for kids who are harmed by these doctors.
Under the previous administration, my predecessor, Richard Levine, promoted what he called gender-affirming care for minors, and there's nothing caring about that. These are sex-rejecting, mutilating, transgender procedures promoted by the Biden administration, and thanks to President Trump's leadership, we're changing course. The Wolves in White Coats report issued by my office at HHS examines a medical system that subjected children to profound interventions while serious questions remained about evidence, about informed consent, and about financial incentives. The report found more than 225 hospitals and health systems established pediatric gender programs nationwide where they preyed on vulnerable children and told families that their kids needed life-altering medical treatments when what they really needed was compassion and counseling.
So many of these people got rich, not by doing what was good for the patient, but by actually mutilating these kids. It was disgraceful. And if someone broke the law, we are going to hold them accountable.
If the medical establishment failed children, we will confront that failure and restore the sacred duty to do no harm.
And if our public health institutions lost the trust of American families, we're going to earn it back with truth, with transparency, and with gold standard science.
Together, we're going to protect our children And importantly, we're going to restore trust in public health. When you walk into the doctor's office, you have to know that they're going to do the best by yourselves, by your children, by your family. And we will hold accountable anyone who would betray that trust. We've got so many great doctors. We can't have a few bad doctors tarnish the whole lot. Thank you, everybody.
So they're putting some teeth in this. They're going after these doctors with fraud. That it's Medicaid fraud, basically, is what they're going after them with. Here is a little bit more. I don't think this is a repeat. Here's a little bit more.
Today, HHS released Wolves in White Coats, a report examining pediatric gender medicine and insurance building across America. The findings raise serious questions about what families were told, what insurers were told, and how these procedures were built.
Today, Secretary Kennedy and I referred hospitals and clinics identified by this review to the Department of Justice and the HHS Inspector General for possible violations of federal law. These allegations are crazy and they demand investigation. When children may have been harmed and families misled, it's on those of us in power to find the truth and to seek justice for kids who are harmed by these doctors.
Under the previous administration, my predecessor, Richard Levine, promoted what he called gender-affirming care for minors.
No more federal dollars. Your tax money will no longer pay for puberty blockers, sex hormones, gender-altering surgeries for Americans under 18 years old. And it begins October 13th. The president says, we are not going to pay for our innocent children to undergo these barbaric surgeries and practices which result in unthinkable and irreversible harm to their young bodies. Senior White House correspondent.
So they're going after these people. Somebody says until they go after the people that got paid to murder people. Yeah, you're referring to the Rona. It's coming. Hold your horses. It's coming. It's going to happen soon. Sooner rather than later. I'm here to tell you. It's a coming. Let's see. What do I got here? Okay. So other things that are happening as far as fraud goes. This is interesting. Donald Trump posted this. Let's see. Did I go 1, 2? Let me back up here. Okay, yeah. Okay. So it says Watchdog accuses Dem senator of ethics violation over $7 million in grants to wife's nonprofit. Fact calls for investigation into Senator Whitehouse for conflict of interest in funding of wife's Ocean conservative, whatever that, yeah. Judicial Watch files Senate ethic complaint against Senator Sheldon Whitehouse over conflicts of interest concerning his consultant wife. You got to understand, there's one more, I think. Before I get into it. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse backed laws to benefit wife's company and their financial interest ethics complaint. Okay. They're going after, they're setting precedences here. They're picking the low-hanging fruit that everybody can agree with. They're moving the Overton window. If you don't understand what that means, look it up. They're going after Whitehouse because it's easy to prove that he manipulated government money into his wife's NGO so that he can enrich himself. Now, it was just last week that we found a bunch of information that the FBI was covering for all the fraud that Joe Biden was doing. Now we have the low-hanging fruit, easy to prove. Everybody can get along with this one. Because the next step. And then we got them going after the trans doctors because that is a majority of America says, let's stop cutting the penises off of 8-year-old boys. That's not good. If the kid is 18 and can pay for it himself and wants to have a cut a dick off of me, well, cool. Pervert. Sicko. Maybe we should give him some medical help. But understand what's happening as they ramp this thing up and where this is all going to wind up. It's important to kind of get a grasp on that. They're attacking so many things on so many fronts right now. For example, the Southern Poverty Law Center. They put out this infographic. The FBI and the DOJ indict the Southern Poverty Law Center for fraud, false statement, money laundering, and conspiracy. And this lists it all out. The Southern Poverty Law Center is all in the news today. That's another thing. They're showing how the grift works. What they're applying here at the Southern Poverty Law Center, what they're applying with Sheldon, what they're applying with the transients and the doctors going after kid applies other places. The doctors that are making money doing cut a dick off of me's and cut a breast off of me's with these kids and putting these kids on these puberty blockers that they have to be on the rest of their lives that are very expensive is showing you how medicine is now for profit. They don't give a rip about taking care of people. It's the same thing as showing that these nonprofits are funneled through people like Sheldon Whitehouse, through his wife, and that the families around these politicians is how they hide their money that they got through ill-gotten gains through our government. The Southern Poverty Law Center is showing you how these so-called NGOs create the problem which the government's paying for, because they went out and funded the white racist folks to create white racism so they can fundraise off the white racism. Well, what do you think the NGOs that are doing homelessness are doing? They're creating homelessness so that they can fundraise off the homelessness and get money from the government off the homelessness so they can go take care of the homelessness that they're creating. Well, climate change activists are out there manipulating the numbers on climate change while at the same time trying to get money for climate change. It's all a big grift. And we're showing the pattern here as this starts to unfold right in front of us. And that's really what this is all about. So I want to get to trying to touch on a bunch of subjects here today. I want to get to another subject, and that is Rand Paul asked a question that I thought was interesting. Of course, most people said yes. Should we return to the gold standard? Yes. 81% no, 12%. The math don't math here, by the way. Something not right here. Because you got 12% plus 8% is 20%, and you got 81%. There's an extra percent in there. This must be Democrats voting. I don't know. Just the math don't math, but that's okay. Some extra votes, but the gold standard. We need to go to the gold standard. By the way, silver's trading at 65.71. It's been flirting with 66. Gold's trading at 4,446, flirting with 45. Oil's at 81, and there's been panic. Oh my God, oil's at 81 on the. Under Joe Biden, oil was stayed around 100. All you crybabies. Just because Donald Trump set a standard at 40 when he was in, and it's going to get back there. NASDAQ, S&P 500, and Dow Jones Industrial Average are all down. Not a lot. A couple of bucks. Not a big deal. But the gold standard is an interesting question asked by Rand Paul. So here is, let's see, I got that right here, gold standard. Here is some interesting posts right now. International Stacker, these are people that follow this sort of thing, says breaking, Kitco requires 5,000 minimum as gold and silver demand surges. What's going on? Kitco is now requiring 5,000 minimum on physical bullion orders, both buying and selling. We're talking about gold. Their exact words, it's been incredibly busy time with the recent surge for demand in physical gold and silver. They say 5,000 minimum is needed to keep orders moving quickly and maintaining service levels. Think about it. Physical demand is busy enough that one of the biggest names in the industry is officially saying no small orders, 5,000 minimum. Crustacean Nation, is this simply Kitco managing heavy volume or another side of physical demand heating up? What do you think? Not financial advice. Stay stacked, right? Don't give advice. And then this one, breaking, AP MEX is asking customers to sell their silver eagles. What's going on? Scriber just forwarded me a screenshot from an email that they sent. The wording stood out. Due to high demand, we are reaching out to our customers who are in the money on 1 ounce silver eagles. We are actively encouraging customers to sell their silver eagles and request a quote. Now, put this next to what Kitco just said. It's been an incredibly busy time in the recent surge in demand for physical gold and silver. Proactively reaching out to buy silver eagles due to high demand. Excuse me. Oh, I hate that. One major dealer talking about surging demand is interesting. Two major dealers, it is at the same time gets my attention. Dealers aren't trying to replenish inventory in a hot market or just trying to do that. Or are we watching physical silver demand tighten in real time? What do you think is going on? So due to high demand, we're reaching out to our customers who are in the money on silver eagles. In other words, if you can make some money on your eagles, why don't you sell them? One American silver eagle coin. Okay, that math don't math. This is not advice. I'm just reading what people are saying. Breaking, major dealer is hunting for silver, offering $20 over spot. A subscriber just forwarded me another dealer email, this time from Summit Metals. They are actively offering customers $20 over spot for their 1 ounce Mexican silver Libertades, whatever. Read that again. They're not selling at 20 over spot. They're buying them off customers at $20 over spot. Now connect the dots. Kitco, APMX, and now Summit Metals are all saying high demand. Three dealers, three different signals, all pointing in the same direction. Important context. Libertards normally carry strong premium, so this does not mean generic silver is suddenly worth $20 over spot. But two dealers proactively seeking premium silver products from their customers, while another explicitly cites a surge in physical demand, is hard to ignore. Are dealers simply fighting over the hottest retail products, or are we watching parts of physical silver market tighten in real time? What's going on? $20 over spot. What's going on? So we see something happening in gold and silver. They misspelled libtards. Yeah, I don't think they mean libtards, but that was what was going through my mind. So I have a problem with that word. Libtards wouldn't be buying silver anyways. Libtards are out there buying some kind of crazy crypto scam to get into. I'll take $2.5 million tax-free for 340 ounces, Alex. Yeah, or 320 ounces. That'd be fun. Let's do it. So I say all that because I wanted to point out there's some more information on the economy. Okay, hold on. Let me get this going here. There's some more information on the economy because CNBC just announced yesterday, the numbers came out. Right now the media is trying to tell us over and over again that Donald Trump's economy, everything's more expensive. Donald Trump's charging more. Oh my God. For conveniently forgetting what happened a few years ago. By the way, as I tell you over and over again, have I not said, those of you who watch my show, the new people to the show may not know this, but have I not said that the price is never going back down? Inflation only goes up, it never goes down. Now, there may be some of this, up, down, but the trend is up. It's never going to go back down. The inflation that happened, the rapid inflation that happened during the Biden administration will not go back down. It will continue to accelerate. You may be able to stop inflation from accelerating more through government regulation or deregulation or government policy. It was government policy that drove it up in the first place. So you may be able to do that, and that's true. But you can't make it go back. You're not going to, a fiat currency doesn't back up. Once it starts inflating, or in the proper term is deflating, the value of the dollar is going down under the Biden administration because of all the money we printed on the road and their policies and all the money that they're doing. The price shot up during the Biden administration. And now, there's a little bit of inflation, everybody was saying, because of the war, except that there's not. Except that there's no inflation the last 2 months.
Number, final demand month over month, expected up 0.2, comes in lower. Only goose egg, 0. That would be the highest rate of inflation because last month was negative since it was up 0.6 in May. So better than expected there. And as I said, -0.3 last month now becomes -0.1. Let's strip out food and energy. Comes out up 0.2, 1/10 lighter than expectation. Strip out food, energy, and trade. This one's a little warmer. We were expecting up 0.3. It comes up 0.4. That would be the highest since it was up 0.8 in May. Now let's.
So inflation is at 0, give or take, for 2 months. Because of policy, monetary policy. Even though the war's going on, even though oil's at 81, which, by the way, go back and look. I have it up on my screen every show, and I have for 5 years. Every show, I have the markets up on my screen. During the Biden administration, it was $100. Might have been 95. Might have been 120, but it was $100. Oil. All these people screaming. And I say all that because I want to point out something. You see, everything that you're hearing during and before the Rona, our media was bought and controlled by nefarious people, whether brought to you by Pfizer and or it's a danger to our democracy, a danger to our democracy, a danger to our democracy. And when I show that to some people who are in the biz, whether it be politics or media, they say, oh, that's just Sinclair Broadcasting putting out a message. And it was just Sinclair Broadcasting. But then I hit them back with this: gravitas, 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 gravitas. And I said, what are you talking about? Do you remember when George W. was running for president? And he picked Dick Cheney, that Dick Cheney had the gravitas, the gravitas, the gravitas. I didn't know what the word meant. I had to look it up. It meant weight, authority. They were programming us because they wanted George W. in there. What do you mean? You mean the media was for George W? Just like the media on the right, the Fox News, is for AOC right now. You see, but the problem is that we figured it out. The American people figured it out, especially people like me and you. During the Rona, we said, wait a cotton picking second. Hold up. And even my Jew-hating, flat earth friends, one category different people, who stood firm against what was being pushed out for us in 2019, 2020, 2021, who finally realized that our mainstream media and our government apparatus is bought and paid for and pushing out propaganda after propaganda. So they started seeking other sources of news and information, doing their own research. But the powers that be, whoever they be, aren't dumb. And they realized we've got to switch what we're doing because, first of all, the demographic of the mainstream media is 70 years old, and the kids that are voting now aren't watching. So they're going after their sources of information like this.
I was talking to my friend from Europe about the cost of living in Ohio and just how everything has gotten so unaffordable. And he was literally shocked. He was like, but Ohio's a cheap state, I thought.
Genuinely just got off the phone with one of my European friends, and he was in complete disbelief when I told him the prices here in New York, because I genuinely can't believe them either.
My cousin from Scotland just got in touch with me and how the price of living has gone up like crazy. And he was all like, but you live in Ohio. Like, you don't really have to worry about it, right? Like, that's pretty cheap.
In New York, and I was talking to my friend in France the other day, and I was telling her, I literally can't afford my rent.
I was like, yeah, it used to be, but to be honest, there's no such thing as a cheap state anymore. He says, but you have a second job. Isn't that for like fun stuff or saving and stuff? Like, just use that for now. I was like, you think my second job is for fun? It's for survival. Have you seen the cost of gas after the MAGA Republicans started a war in the Middle East? Have you seen the cost of groceries in Ohio after the MAGA Republicans did all these tariffs?
1 year ago, I was looking at gas prices being $2, $3 at most. Right now, I'm lucky to find $4 a gallon. That is insane. I was telling my European friend that I'm working 2 jobs to barely cover my living expenses, and he was shocked, thinking that my second job was just for me to put extra money into my savings. I can't afford living in New York because these MAGA Republicans thought it was a good idea to go to war instead of actually lowering prices how they said they would. Somebody please help me, because this is genuinely intolerable.
It used to be. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, I have 2 jobs and I can barely afford it. And he's all like, with 2 jobs, you cannot afford to live there. I thought you had a second job just to have like extra income. No. And he was so in shock and absolutely horrified. And he's all like, well, isn't that what MAGA like promised you guys? Yep, sure did. But they decided to prioritize a war in the Middle East that we didn't need instead.
And she was like, don't you have 3 jobs? And I was like, yes, but 3 jobs still doesn't feel like it's enough. Like, I'm still struggling. And she's like, you're still struggling with 3 jobs? You work all the time. I thought 3 jobs would be enough. And I also thought the MAGA Republicans said everything would be cheaper. But we must be living in a different New York, because I am definitely not seeing that.
You remember, I was pushing against everything cheaper stuff. Remember? Just a couple years ago, I said, no. It's not going to go down. The price doesn't ever go down. It continues going up because it's not about the price of things. It's about the value of the dollar. But what you're watching right there is the 2026, 2027 version of it's a danger to our democracy, a danger to our democracy, a danger to our democracy. The version of follow the science, follow the science, follow the science, trust the science, trust the science. It is the same bought and paid for message, but they found that it's more effective to spread that payment around. Instead of paying Fox News $1 billion, take that $1 billion and give it to a bunch of social influencers that are getting paid for their opinion. Most of these accounts, by the way, just spring up over the last few days. There is an entire industry right now of bought and paid for social influencers. There's companies that do this now. So you create an account They pay you to create an account, a new account, and then you say what they want you to say, and then they promote it through the algorithm. They manipulate the system. It's bought, paid for, and planned. And that's what I was trying to tell you. I've been preaching and screaming and hollering about the Patriot mythology influencers, especially when it comes to the big guys. But it's also the little guys. You know, don't forget there's a war going on the so-called conservative right. By the way, I don't know how much of this Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly stuff is real. Why do I say that? Because they need dysfunction on the right to cover for the dysfunction on the left. And there's plenty of dysfunction on the left. And they need it. They need it. We're going into election cycle. So they have something else to talk about. But here's Ben Shapiro on Tucker.
Tucker thinks this is because, again, Tucker has never engaged in the American process. He has not. He is not someone who got better and stronger and more powerful because he made smart, wise, and virtuous decisions. That is not the story of Tucker Carlson's life, just as it is not the story of Hassan Piker's life or Zohran Mamdani's life or Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan. Like, this is not their life. Hey, here's what Tucker Carlson's childhood was like. Tucker Carlson grew up silver spoon rich in a frozen food empire. He went to a Swiss boarding school for high school. Okay, according to Jason Zengerle, in his book about Tucker Carlson, although Carlson found religion in high school, he continued to drink and smoke and began doing drugs. Marijuana, acid, cocaine, even ether. He went to St. George's, which wasn't Exeter or Andover, but it still sent a smattering of graduates each year to Harvard, Princeton, and Yale. His grades and test scores were nowhere near good enough to get into any of those schools. His academic record at St. George's was sufficiently poor, he had a difficult time at gaining admission to any prestigious university, not just those in the Ivy League. So he got into Trinity College because his then girlfriend Susie's dad, who was the headmaster of St. George's, helped grease the wheels to get him in. There, he was an abysmal student. He stopped showing up to class. When Neil Patel, with whom he became business partners later, and most of Carlson's other friends received their Trinity diplomas, Carlson was not among them. His 1.9 GPA was deemed too low. He never graduated from college. Then Carlson's daddy called up his friends at the Heritage Foundation, where he landed a $14,000 a year internship fact-checking a quarterly journal at Heritage Foundation, and the rest is history. Okay, so again, I'm happy for Tucker that he is richer than he once was. But I think the reason why he despises the American dream as process is because he never lived that process. I love that process. That process is glorious. That is the thing that needs to be protected. The American dream as the process where if you make wise, smart, virtuous decisions, you get ahead. And then if you teach those to your kids, they get ahead of you. I want the American dream. I want my kids to have that process. I do not want the petty tyrants on the left or the right deciding for me what things are worth or what they think is fair, because I don't know what they mean by fair, or what I materially require in order to reach spiritual fulfillment. They can all write off. I would like the freedom that is the process of the American dream. Here's the thing. A lot of these people have problems with the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. They'll say so openly. The Declaration of Independence was right. The Constitution of the United States was right. And all of your crappy, rewarmed oligarchic theories have been tried, and they have failed. You want feudalism? Awesome. Go back to medieval Europe. You want Marxism? Sweet. Head on over to Cuba. You want Islamism? You can get the hell out and go to Qatar. People like this, they like to say America first. But here's the thing. Americanism first. Americanism first. You know, the thing that makes us different from every place else. The thing that makes America exceptional and awesome. Those first principles, free markets and free minds and equal justice before law and social virtue. Those are the things. That's what government is there to protect. Let's get back to those first principles. And for the love of all that is holy, Will someone please buy Tucker Carlson a brain?
Buy him a brain. That's what he was going to say. So Tucker responds. They're having a tit for tat, and Tucker responds. Let me get to the response here. I got to give me a second. Here we go. At Tucker's response, you whether you agree with Ben Shapiro or not, it was a well-rounded, well-presented argument. Tucker's response is not. You could say it's unhinged.
You've got it so good, you don't know how good you've got it. And if you can't see that, the problem is you. So stop complaining, bitch. You little whiner. Get to work. Retirement? What? That's for ungrateful people. Get back to work. Eat your Del Taco. They're only $4.50. Your parents would have been grateful for a $4.50 Del Taco. Getting out after 18 hours in the spinning mill. They were only 9 years old. They didn't have Del Taco then. So you've got it so good, you don't know how good you've got it. And if you can't see that, the problem is you. So
there's Tucker throwing a temper fit. And by the way, I used to work at Del Taco. I know I've mentioned that before. So I don't. They're talking about the $20 tacos. They're trying to push it. That's the inflation push. That's the working together on the inflation push. That's what that is. Trying to undermine Donald Trump on the inflation push, but not even reporting what I reported, according to CNBC, that the rates are down. There's no inflation right now. How could that even be? Oh my gosh, it's not going to be. What are we going to do? There's no inflation right now. And then, of course, you've got Tucker Carlson out there interviewing Hunter Biden, trying to rehabilitate Hunter Biden for whatever political reason. I don't know that Hunter's going to run, but they're trying to reestablish their grift for sure. Well, PBD did some interviews. Patrick Ben David did some interviews with the guy from the repair shop, John Paul Mack. Making sure I know what I'm doing. So here you go. Making sure I know what I'm doing. I never know what I'm doing. What are you talking about?
And when you saw this exchange about the laptop, how did you, the person that was involved in this story, how did you react to the story?
Well, I for the last 6 months, actually, I think longer, I've been listening to Hunter try to rewrite his history. So I think that aspect's comical because every lie that's come out of Hunter's mouth has actually been proven in court to be a lie by his father's own DOJ. Like Exhibit 6 was the timeline for the laptop, and it clearly states that I sent him an email. I called him. He called me back. He came back to the shop. The serial number of his laptop that he signed for was the same serial number that was on the subpoena.
So those are what he's talking about is the court stuff when Hunter Biden sued him for defamation, which he lost or he dropped, whichever the case may be. That's what he's talking about. So PBD had some more questions that he wanted to ask him. Let me get it lined up right here. Where's it at? I know I have it. Okay. I don't have it. I'm out of my mind. Okay, I got it. Go a different direction. Okay, here's some more PBD right here. I promise you it's coming. Okay. So PBD's asking this guy, John Paul Mack, about the stuff that's on the Hunter Biden laptop.
That day, John, when Hunter walked in, and you said, very intoxicated, smelled like alcohol, trouble speaking, balancing, nearly dropped the laptop on the counter. One of them was liquid damage, so you couldn't get anything out of it, probably because he was drinking and doing whatever the hell he does on it. And then you saw the Beau Biden Foundation sticker So you asked him who he was, and he like paused and said, Hunter. And then you're like, okay, last name, Biden. They want us to believe that this was some Mossad agent because they knew you were partially blind. They came in to set all this up. So I want just very, very briefly, John, can you recall that moment, that the interaction with him, and as if you don't know what his voice is? And then my second part, John, is now all these years you couldn't talk about certain things on these laptops because of lawsuits. Now that they're all gone and everything's said and done, what's the one thing that you've been dying to tell everybody that you saw that you couldn't tell us the last time? That's like, oh my God, so blatantly obvious, and one of the reasons he got a pardon.
Wow. Well, let's start with the last one. So, I've always had a problem with the inappropriate relationship with Hunter's niece, his dead brother's kid. It's the reason why the gun ended up in the trash can in the first place. That behavior shocked me. What shocked me even more was Jim Biden and Joe Biden and basically the family, the patriarchy, trying to do their best to come up with ways to silence the mother, to, we'll shove it down her throat was, I think, one of the quotes that I read when they were going to describe her drug use to kind of combat, they were going to punish her for Hunter's behavior revolving around an underage niece. And I thought that was probably the most horrible thing that a family could do to itself.
And just really quick, John, what the relationship, was it just drug use, or was there something nefarious happening between those two? That you saw, allegedly.
It looked like Hunter was taking advantage of a young lady that kind of saw in Hunter a better man, probably a crush. So there was a lot of inappropriate. I believe the mother was upset because Hunter was smoking crack naked in front of her during chat messages or a message. Or iChat, I think it was iChat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that's a messed up family, and the depths that they would go to protect their own from their own. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, well, Ashley Biden's what was it? Her diary that she left behind at an Airbnb. She said some stuff about her father allegedly showering with her at probably at inappropriate ages. So then, John, just really fast, the day that he walked in, smelling like alcohol, dropping it off. Can you just very, very briefly bring that up again? Because they're acting as if you don't know what you're talking about and you couldn't see anything.
All right. So I've never, up until he walked in the shop, I absolutely had no interest in knowing what Hunter Biden looked like. So I had no idea who this guy was. The check-in process at my shop is I collect customer information. The first question is, can you give me your first name and your last name? It's simple. So yes, I am visually impaired. I cannot drive. And yes, I have problems seeing past 5 to 8 feet without visual aids. Am I blind? Am I unable to see who I'm talking to or recognize a person when they come in, or recognize a person that's starring in their homemade porn is the same guy that dropped off the laptop? Or how about this for all the people that question my eyesight and my ability to see? I have pretty good hearing. So, the high-pitched, entitled voice of Hunter Biden rings in my ears every time I hear it. And I recognize that voice everywhere. So, I'd say it's all bullshit. They should see me at the range.
Yeah.
It's all BS. So he describes the biggest thing that he saw was Hunter Biden butt naked, smoking crack in front of minors as he's on the phone or on the video chat with them. That's the challenge. And so, and everybody says, well, that's not true. You want to bet? I mean, this is what Marco Polo put out, was a bunch of the videos like this video.
I just laid out the bag. It's 2.06.
2.07 without the bag.
So how long is
2.0?
House is a disaster.
I just laid out the bag.
Measuring out your crack. Make sure you got your crack right, because one must have their priorities. But the dumb thing about it is when you're recording yourself doing felonies, but when you're the senator's son, the vice president's son, or the president's son, I guess none of that matters. Here's one more John Paul Mack discussion about how Tucker and Hunter Biden decided it was the Jews, blamed the Jews.
What we're seeing right now is opportunities for people like Tucker to insert Israel into the mix, which again, he knows who Yaakov is. He knows he's not an Israeli asset. So why Tucker wanted to pander to his audience about Israelis and the link and the tie, that's on Tucker. But I don't, it just seems awfully peculiar for people to sacrifice their credibility at this level, knowing the facts and knowing the detail and knowing that Hunter's own father's DOJ documented everything. And, but they're usually the only reason why people would do these things is for money. So that's the only thing I can.
Yeah. It's
what we're seeing right now is opportunities for people like Tucker to insert Israel into the mix, which.
Yep. So Tucker's got to insert Israel, got to blame the Jews. And then he says the only reason that they're doing this is for money. Like $7,000 checks from Qatar, that kind of money. Then I got one more thing I want to talk about, and then we're gonna switch gears a little bit, I think. So Green Beret Nap Time says this: be cautious of people who disguise their grift behind just asking questions. This is an long, abused lefty tactic. They pose all these questions that are impossible for anyone not directly involved in whatever the discussion is about to answer. Once you cannot answer it, then they use that unknown as a proof of their theory. It's backwards ideology, or backward idiocy, same thing. It's the exact opposite of what you're supposed to research or investigate. This confirms bias directly attached to their fragile emotions. Candace and Podcastistan do this all the time. Blake, the idiot that thinks explosives can happen without explosions, in Gary's space yesterday, did it. He brought up timelines from the limited videos we have access to, disregarding that the prosecution has all the answers to the questions, but they are saving them for trial to convict Tyler Robinson, not for idiots and their podcast that they know literally nothing about how the world works, and then tried to grill Gary on aspects of the unknown that actually don't matter or mean anything. Then if you disregard their stupid questions, they claim you don't care about what happened. It's circular idiocy. They disregard the overwhelming evidence and focus on the outliers, unknowns, and coincidences that drive their arguments based on those entirely. Honestly, there's no reason to engage in discourse with these people. They are lefties pretending that reality isn't real because they have emotions about it. I call their idiocy, ridicule them for being dumb, and move on with sane adults that understand logic and reasoning. That's what I've been saying all along. That these people are either ignorant or lying. There's no other choices. I know that's really hard. People don't like those words and it hurts their feelings and stuff. But the truth is the truth. No matter how you like it or don't like it, it is the truth. And these people either know the truth and are not telling you the truth, or they're really, really, really ignorant. Speaking of ignorant, Luigi's back in the news. The guy that killed the reportedly killed the CEO of United Healthcare, and he's back in the news with there's a plea deal that he's supposed to plead guilty to Monday.
11 a.m. in the federal case against accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione.
Both prosecutors and defense attorneys asked for this hearing, leading to rumors a possible plea deal could be in the works.
All right, Chanley Pointer joins us now. Hey, Chanley.
Painter.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's all good, Brian. It's been 2.5 years.
Yeah, I
In his
apologize.
defense. All right, let's explain this, because right now the possibility of a federal plea deal for Luigi Mangione is just rumor and speculation. That was all reignited after his defense and federal prosecutors jointly asked for the last minute hearing. It is scheduled for tomorrow, 11 a.m. at the Manhattan Federal Courthouse. So now there were reports of federal plea discussions earlier this summer, but those talks didn't go anywhere. But we need to remember that Mangione faces both federal and state charges in the 2024 shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. In federal court, he faces 2 counts of stalking and could spend up to life behind bars if convicted. In state court, he faces murder charges and weapons charges that also expose him to life if convicted. So what could a federal plea mean for the 28-year-old, if in fact that is what the attorneys are meeting with the judge for tomorrow? Well, it could mean he pleads guilty to one or both of those stalking counts to avoid a federal trial and an agreed to sentence, or a sentence determined or pending approval by the judge. But most importantly, it opens the possibility of a plea deal in a federal case, reigniting defense efforts to convince the judge to dismiss those state murder charges on the grounds of double jeopardy. Because if Mangione is able to resolve his federal case with a plea, that could significantly affect his state case under New York laws that provide stronger protections against double jeopardy for charges stemming from the same underlying conduct, or that's what his defense wants to convince the judge of. So that's why New York state prosecutors have been so adamant to ensure that the state trial take place before a federal trial. And again, we'll see what path, because no path is really certain right now, because all eyes are on this hearing tomorrow and what, if anything, will actually come for Luigi Mangione's cases moving forward, guys.
So they're trying to work a plea deal that will save his life. It looks like they're charging him with stalking and a couple other things instead of murder. And he'll get life in sentence, life, but he won't get the death penalty, which getting the death penalty in New York City is kind of like getting life anyway. So I don't know how to feel about it. It's kind of dumb, but there you have it. It sounds like they're going to wrap that thing up and get the plea deal in, and it's all going to be good from there. Now I want to talk about something else. So the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, they're all out there pushing their agenda and trying to get things right. And I got one of them is Georgia Democrat Ossoff, who is rhymes with, who is a potential candidate for president. And they recorded him talking, answering some questions, and this is what he says. And I want to push back on this because a thought popped in my head, and I went and looked to see what the truth was.
Let's talk about reparations.
Sure.
All right. I'm for it. What's your stance?
So Senator Cory Booker has legislation in the Senate.
That's right.
To establish a commission for the purposes of studying the right way to redress the grievance, to pay the debt never paid. 40 acres and a mule was never paid out.
Right. And that was an actual promise.
That was an actual promise of the federal government.
Right.
There is a debt unpaid. I think it is a very, very difficult question how to pay it.
But see, that should be the question, not if it should be paid.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
40 acres and a mule. How many of you have heard that, been taught that? How many of you, 40 acres and a mule? You know, it's a lie that the federal government never promised anyone 40 acres and a mule. So I asked Gronk, I said, the question was, who guaranteed 40 acres and a mule, and to whom did they guarantee it? And did anybody take advantage of it? So here's the story. Here's the truth of it. Yes, a limited temporary wartime since primarily through Union General William T. Sherman's Special Field Orders, number 15, January 16th, 1865. But it was never a broad, permanent federal promise of free land or a mule to all formerly enslaved people. The phrase 40 acre and a mule originated in the closing months of the Civil War after Sherman's march to the sea. He and Secretary of War Edwin M. Stanton met on January 12, 1865 in Savannah, Georgia, with about 20 black community leaders, mostly ministers, including Reverend Garrison Frazier, asked what they needed to sustain their freedom. The leaders emphasized land they could work themselves. 4 days later, Sherman issued the order. That's according to PBS.org. You know, the right-wing rag. It reserved a coastal strip from roughly Charleston, South Carolina, south to St. John's River in Florida, including Georgia's Sea Islands and about 30 miles inland, for settlement of newly freed peoples. This involved roughly 400,000 acres of abandoned or confiscated Confederate land. Heads of families could receive a plot of not more than 40 acres of tillable ground with military protection until such time as they can protect themselves or until Congress shall regulate their title. Settlements were to be managed by the freed people themselves with limited white presence except for military personnel. The order did not mention mules. Surplus army mules and sometimes other animals were later loaned or distributed to some settlers by military authorities and the Freedman's Bureau, which is how "and a mule" entered the popular phrase. Who it applied to? It targeted freed people in that specific coastal region, especially those who had followed Sherman's army and were already in the area, rather than all formerly enslaved peoples across the South. Tens of thousands, estimated around 40,000, settled on the land. Possessionary titles, not full permanent ownership, were issued to more than 1,200 individual families. In some documented cases, recent investigations have identified many of those titles. The Freedman's Bureau, created shortly afterward, also initially supported related land efforts on abandoned, confiscated property more broadly, and some provisions of 40 acres allotments that could eventually be purchased. The order was a military measure with temporary possession titles, contingent on Congress. After Lincoln's assassination, President Andrew Jackson, who favored rapid reconciliation with the South, issued pardons to many of the former Confederates and ordered much of the land returned to previous white ownership in the fall of 1865. Most settlers were displaced. Radical Republican proposals in Congress for broader permanent redistribution largely failed. Let me read that slowly for the people in the back. Radical Republican, the mega Republicans, the radical Republicans, the Zionist nationalist Republicans, proposals in Congress for broader permanent redistribution largely failed. The policy is widely remembered as the broken promise and has been invoked in discussions of reparations. It was the Democrats. It was the Republicans that tried to do it. It was the Democrats that stopped it. In short, a specific wartime military order did allocate up to 40 acres, with some mules provided in practice to certain freed families in defined coastal area based in part on input from Black leaders. It was implemented to a limited degree and then largely reversed. It was never a nationwide permanent entitlement enacted by Congress for every formerly enslaved person. So there was never the morale of the story. There was never an act of Congress. It was a military action by Sherman. When the Republicans tried to secure it in Congress, they were defeated by the Democrats. The KKK was Democrats. Jim Crow 2.0, Democrats. All of this was Democrats. So let me tell you something, Black people who want your reparations for the slave folks. Once your buddy Democrats who are promising you 40 acres and a mule win, they'll renege on you. They'll renege on you because of who they really think you are. That begins with nig. You think I'm lying? I ain't lying. History proves it. Now, we got this old boy, Hasheen Parker, who is buddies with Prince Ali up there in Detroit. He's a communist, Marxist, and an Islamist. He lives in LA in a multi-million-dollar home. He makes millions of dollars through his podcast and whatever things he does. I wonder how he does that. It's almost like he's bought and paid for. But before Charlie died, Charlie debated him, and this is how it went.
You give 95% of your money away and go live on a commune.
Do you really think that that's how it works? Do you really think
Why
that's
not?
how it works?
Go live what you preach. Because every single
this is as silly.
You talk uninterrupted for 5 minutes. Hassan, let me finish.
Go ahead. Sorry, you're right. You're right.
live
You're right.
what I practice.
Make
I'm
your
a free market
ridiculous
capitalist.
point.
I employ people. I took a risk. I have my own startup business. Every single day, I practice what I preach. He wants other people to contribute to what he considers to be a good idea, what he considers will make the world a better place. That you have the freedom to go live as a socialist. Go do it, Hassan. What's stopping you?
Okay.
All right.
So here's why this is ridiculous. And the last point I will make is this. Here's why that conversation is absolutely preposterous. If I gave away the measly earnings that I had and gave away 95% of
How much do you make,
that
Hassan?
wouldn't necessarily even push the needle.
Doesn't matter. That's not the point. You want everyone else to live by their meager means.
Yeah. Charlie makes a good point. All these DSA, all these communists, they want you to do it with your money, not their money. He's a multi-millionaire, lives in a very, very nice house in LA. You know, it's standard operating
All about everything a man can.
Rules for thee, but not for me. That's the standard. It's all animals are equal, just some are more equal than others. That's the standard. That's what we know. Representative Luna said, tweeted this out, said, the Democratic playbook: create a fraudulent business, receive fraudulent government funding, launder fraudulent money back to the Democrat Party. Republicans do it too. Shh, don't tell nobody. They're funding their entire operation with your tax dollars. It's fraud. Owner of suspiciously vacant daycare billed Medicaid $32 million while donating to Kathy Hochul. Of course. But don't think it's just them. The Republicans do it too. That's why you have all these Republicans standing against it. You know, communism doesn't work. And the only way that you can get it to work is by eliminating all the dead weight. Mao Zedong left behind a legacy of oppression, starvation, and millions upon millions of deaths. This is what communist looks like. You know, you can vote your way into communism, but you have to shoot your way out of it. That's what they say. That's what they say. Let's see here. We got some other stuff.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Want to talk about before we run out of time. Get ready for the weekend. I have a lot of stuff going on, so it's all right. So then there's this story. So Donald Trump has signed an executive order right here. Let's start with this one. Make sure I get this story in. It says, strap in, boys. We're going back to steam. The memorandum directs Secretary of War to replace advanced electromagnetic aircraft launch system and advanced weapon elevators with traditional steam and a hydraulic during the construction of CVN-81. So the brand new aircraft, we got two of the newest version of the aircraft. One is already deployed. I think it's the Lincoln. And then they got another one coming out. I think it's the Kennedy is the name of it. They just went out to sea trials, but they're having a problem. They've got this, instead of using steam, like was what we're the only aircraft carrier in the world, ours, that use catapults. If you take a look at Russians, Chinese, Britons, France, they all have it all goes up like this at the end. That's so the airplanes get up into the air. We use catapult system, and it's actually a faster deployment. That's why we use it. Manual operating systems can't be hacked. That's true too. Go back to the old school. So, but they have a problem with them. They don't work very well. So they they break. The parts train for fixing them is a challenge. Oversee parts. So here there is a real truth behind President's criticism about catapults and weapon elevators on the Ford, which is also known as its hull number in CVN-78. TWZ has covered the issues with both of these systems as well as other long-troubled aspects of the ship's design in detail for years now. The Navy has been working to mitigate these problems, but has continued to face challenges at least as recently as last year. So during Ford's first full-length deployment between May 23 and January 24, the ship and its embarked air wing completed 8,725 catapult launches using EMALS, according to the most recent annual report from the Pentagon's Office of Director of Test and Evaluation, which was published earlier this year. However, the .E has not received significant data to update the reliability statistics reported for fiscal year 23 annual report. Despite engineering upgrades to hardware and software, and reliability has not appreciatively changed from prior years, and reliance on off-shift technical support remains a challenge, NAVAR, or Naval Air Systems Command, is conducting developments and improvements. The Navy reported that during the CVN-78, that's the Lincoln's deployment, the ship's weapons department conducted 11,369 AWE runs, moving 829,580 pounds of ordnance to the flight deck. However, the Navy has yet to build and transfer ordnance to the flight deck at rates reflective of the design referenced mission. .E report also said, of note, the crew is reliant on off-ship technical support for correction of hardware and software failures, which is exactly what Marine was talking about. .E experts, the CGR, or Sortie Generation Rate test, planned for fiscal year 2025 to be the first operational representative demonstration of high ordnance throughput. Okay. Basically what all that's to say, and I've got the whole article if you want to read it. It's on my Telegram page, t.me/PatriotMikeThoughts. Once you download the app from telegram.org. Basically what's going on is they don't have enough ups. They're broken down too much percentage of the time, and during combat, not being able to launch your planes on an aircraft carrier is sort of an issue. So Donald Trump has just signed an executive order ordering the Navy to go back to steam-powered catapults. On the 2 ships that they're currently building, scrap the electromagnetic systems and put in the steam and hydraulic systems that have worked since the 50s, and go back to that. Why? Because it works. And we've got that system perfected. That's the way they've been doing it. So that's interesting. Donald Trump don't play around, by the way. If it don't work, it don't work. Stop trying to make something that doesn't work. Go figure it out, get it to work, and then worry about it. So, yeah. Let's see here. They're going after the CDLs. Let's see what else. The World War II Museum has been attacked. Donald Trump is cleaning up DC. And what do? They go and attack the World War II Museum. Why would they do that?
Coming in from the National Mall, U.S. Park Police are blocking off the World War II memorial right now because it looks like this. The vandals spray painted it and apparently put some kind of solution in the water fountains there. Our cameras actually got there before Park Police did, so we can actually show you the graffiti here that appears to include the words "clean hands, dirty money." Before police cordoned off the area, we also saw several people that were playing with the bubbles that seemed to be coming out of the fountains. Park Police have now cleared that area. News 4's Joseph Olmo just got to that scene. He's going to see what more he can find out.
So you attack the World War II. That's not going to help your cause. People aren't going to get behind you for attacking the World War II memorial. I'm just saying. This is not how you win friends and influence people. It's not a good look. So there's several more stuff from the DSA, but it's the same old story. You've heard it, so it doesn't matter. I do want to end with these 2 videos. First, this one. And this is about getting the right things right. If you're a Christian, focusing on the right things first.
I get called an intolerant Christian as a criticism, but honestly, I view it as a compliment because some of you are out here tolerating way too much. Some of you are out here tolerating false gospels, false doctrines, and false gods in the form of Islam. Some of you are out here tolerating child sacrifice in the form of transgenderism and abortion. Some of you are out here tolerating sexual immorality in the pride movement and this whole sham of sex work is real work. Some of you have been tolerating way too much. You need to become more intolerant. Okay, you need less tolerance in your life. That's what the body of Christ really needs, is less tolerance. We have been tolerating things that our God abhors, tolerating things that grieve his spirit, that breaks his heart, tolerating things that he hates, that led to the fall of man. Pride, right there. Some of y'all are out here condemning me for not tolerating pride. Oh, well, I'm in good company with our good Lord above. He doesn't tolerate it either. Some of you are so tolerant, and honestly, you ought to know, the more tolerant you are of sin, the less tolerant Jesus is going to be of you.
Why are you tolerant of people and things that aren't tolerant of you? Why do you conform to people and things that don't conform to you? I got one more, and this is about Islam. Oops.
Correspond with the rise of global Islam. I just need to talk about this real quick. And if you think I'm nuts, just test what I say against the word in the next 30 seconds. So check this out. In John 16, Jesus says at the end, watch, at the end, he says, "A time is coming when they will kill you and think they are offering service to God." That's what Jesus said.
Listen
now, what
to
we've
this.
been doing in the American church for the last 30 years is we've been focusing on secular progressivism. Hey man, atheism, big problem, secularism, problem. But watch this. According to Jesus, the final boss, like Bowser, I don't know where that came from. The final boss is not going to be in the end. It's not going to be secularism. Jesus said it. It will be another religion
that in that religion, they will kill Christians. And when they kill Christians, they will think they're doing something holy and pleasing God. Let's go a layer deeper. If you fast forward to Revelation chapter 20, John is given a prophetic vision of the throne. Watch what he sees. I'm going to have you say a word out loud. He sees, in the end, the souls of those who had been what? Who had been?
Headed.
Because they refused to worship the beast. I'll just simply point this out. There is only one world religion whose religion specifically prescribes beheading as the way to, quote, kill infidels. There is only one religion. The Quran specifically calls it striking necks. That's the language it uses. So I will simply point that out to you. That's interesting. Now, let me go one layer deeper, and this is where we'll freak you out a little bit more. So if you start studying what's Islamic eschatology, eschatology is a big theological word. Eschaton is the Greek word that means last or end. Ology means study of. So when I say eschatology, it means study of the end. If you study Islamic eschatology, their view of the end times, here's what they believe will happen. They believe that there will be a messianic prophetic figure that they call the Mahdi. The Mahdi will come, and he's a messianic leader that will usher in the Islamic end times events that will result in the entire world becoming a one world Islamic nation state. Now, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to just read to you the things that they believe the Mahdi will do. And if you are a Bible-aware Christian, as I read these, every little red light is going to start flashing in your head, and you're going to see why. This is what they believe about.
Yeah, so I would definitely pay attention real quick into what he's about to say. If you know anything about what the biblical Antichrist is like, he's not reading that. He's reading about what the Mahdi is expected to be like.
Him. He will emerge as a charismatic messianic world leader during global chaos. He will take control of the world and destroy everyone who resists him. He will invade many nations. He will rule and reign for 7 years. He will broker a 7-year peace treaty with the Jews. He will conquer Israel and massacre the Jews. He will establish an Islamic one-world government headquartered in Jerusalem. He will establish Islam as the only acceptable worldwide religion. Watch this. He will come on a white horse with supernatural powers, doing signs and wonders. This is what they believe. He will be assisted by a powerful prophet. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because it is a precise description of the biblical Antichrist.
Wow.
The Islamic Mahdi is the biblical Antichrist.
So, I've been saying that. If you've been watching my show, you know I've been saying that for a while. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what they believe. It also says that when that time comes, they will be killing you, Christian, and believing that they'll do it for God. And the manner in which they're going to kill you is cut off your head. What is their favorite thing to do? Cut off people's head. So when you hear these podcastistans like Tucker Carlson telling you it's the Jews are the reason for every problem that we have in the world, they are fulfilling prophecy. Eventually, I hate to say this to you folks, you don't want to hear it. The people have talked about for years and years and years, where's the United States in the Bible? It's not. Oh, yeah, but it talks about eagles. It's not in the Bible, and there's a reason. Let me say this so that you understand. The world's going to be turned over to a strong delusion. The United States will be conquered by Islam eventually. Because the whole world rises against Israel with the Antichrist. It says that the whole world. I don't know how much the whole is, but generally, we are about to go through a great harvest and a great falling away, simultaneously. And those churches that choose not to do what God is calling us to do in this season, he said, I will turn my back on you. I will remove my Holy Spirit from you. I will remove your lampstand from before me. And out of that church will come the Antichrist. But Mike, you just said that Islam will conquer. Yes. Think about it. Put it together. There you go. Those gays for Palestine churches will, under great delusion, fall for what Islam brings. And many, many, many will convert. There may be some sort of merger, some sort of quasi-religious merger between them. Think about that. And that these people that are sitting here telling you that those aren't the real Jews, that God was shocked and surprised that Israel became a nation, that Israel is the reason, the Jews are the reason for whatever problem. You just make a list of problems and write Jews next to it. Jews are creating genocide, not the Muslims. They're not doing genocide. It's the Jews. Understand that you are fulfilling biblical prophecy, biblical end time prophecy. And you are very, very close. God says he's going to give strong delusion. And then he says, anybody that takes the mark, there's no hope for you. But if God turns his back on you, removes the Holy Spirit from you, and takes your lampstand from before him, there's no hope for you. Because if God hardens your heart, who softens it? What hope do you have? So pay attention. It's going. Chill Will says, I knew it was the Jews that made my smoke alarm battery start beeping. Yes, right. It's the Jews. It's Aaron's fault. All right. You know, it's Friday. You know what that means. Thank you all for watching me on all the channels out there. Make sure if you're watching on the other channels that you go over to X at just type Patriot Mike Show on X, or Patriot Mike Show, or Patriot Mike Patriot Mike Cook, Patriot Mike Show, or Patriot Mike Cook on Rumble. Follow me over there. 8:30 every morning. Here I am. We also do a show on Thursday night, me and another guy named Charlie. We do Charlie has a show called Do Not Talk, and you can follow him over at Charlie Simon's Do Not Talk. And we do a show where we talk about things, and it's fun. We enjoy it. I don't know about y'all, but we enjoy it. Make sure you follow that too. And make sure you hit the links. Make sure you go and check out the products that we sell. Support the Patriot Mike Show, by the way. Support the Patriot Mike Show, because it's really good to do that. But I appreciate y'all being out there. And it's Friday. The weekend's coming. Take your time off. Go and, take a break. Whatever it is you do for relaxing, go do that. Don't worry about what's going on in the media and the news. I'll be back Monday to tell you about it. Take a break. You need a break. You need rest. Go to church, celebrate God, worship, do your thing. If you're in Missouri, the Missouri State Fair's here. I'm avoiding it, but you do you, right? Hook that. They got when you show up at the gate, the Missouri State Fair, and you pay all the exorbitant fees to get in there. What they do is they got this little machine that sticks it in your wallet, and they flip the switch, and it's like a giant sucking sound, just sucking all your money out of your bank account. Anyways, back. Have a good weekend. I will see you all Monday morning, and we will talk about whatever happens over the weekend. Patriot Mike is out.
They can bury the truth, but they can't kill the soul. Cut through the noise, matters. Stomp that floor, raise that hand, hear that truth roll across the land. We've been bent, we've been bruised, still we stand with nothing to lose. It ain't easy, it ain't easy. The road is long and hard. We stand for our freedom right here in our own backyard. Yes, Patriot Mike, standing tall and free. Patriot Mike, for you and for me. Strapped in. You're live with the Patriot Mike Show.